The Rock says no good damn roll.
People have called the WrestleMania 40 main event one of the best in WrestleMania history. The match itself was filled with enough surprises and big moments that it will most definitely go down as one of the most memorable endings to a WrestleMania show. And generally speaking, fans were extremely happy with how everything turned out. The road to WrestleMania 40 though, in my opinion, was way more interesting than the match itself. Events that happened in real life seeped through on the WWE television shows. The company were able to successfully pivot and change plans to better suit the majority of fans. And one particular legend of the business went through a pretty big change of character that I thought worked out really well. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes was a spectacle, a must-see match where one man tried to finish his story while the other wanted to show that he was still king of the mountain and head of the table. But when you throw a certain people's champion into the mix who just so happens to be a board member, things then get a bit spicy. Let's look at the road to WrestleMania 40 and the big main event in Philadelphia. Our story begins on the 1st of January 2024, WWE Raw Day 1. The Rock makes his first live appearance on Raw since 2016. The WWE teased that a former champion would be in attendance, and that champion was first revealed as Jinder Mahal. The Rock would show up shortly afterwards. He would cut a promo on Jinder in typical Rock fashion, and the crowd went crazy when Rock went on offense and Jinder took a people's elbow. Rock then dropped a bombshell that got fans pretty excited. A Rock vs Roman Reigns match was always talked about amongst fans, and when Rock wondered, live on Raw, if he should sit at the head of the table, the fans in attendance and on the internet completely lost it. The Roman Reigns vs Rock match looked like it was going to happen, and viewers really got caught up in the moment. The announcement was a positive one. The guys in the backstage area must have been giving each other high fives. All was right with the world for around 5 minutes or so, but then fans started asking questions. Two main questions really. Why is a part-time guy coming in again to take away a main event spot? And what does this mean for Cody Rhodes, who's been promising for a long time that he's going to finish his story at WrestleMania 40? Cody had wrestled Roman Reigns a year prior at Mania 39. He was unable to beat Reigns thanks to a little help from Roman's Bloodline faction, and a lot of fans had hoped that the disappointment they felt after Mania 39 could potentially get replaced by the joy of Cody winning at Mania 40. Something pretty massive happened on the 23rd of January 2024, mere weeks after The Rock appeared on Raw and days before the 2024 Royal Rumble. TKO announced that Dwayne Johnson had joined the board of directors. The Vince McMahon scandal had sent shockwaves through the pro wrestling world, so this Dwayne Johnson announcement, in a way, kinda took the focus off McMahon for a very brief period of time and put it all on The Rock. That focus was put straight back onto McMahon when Janelle Grant filed her lawsuit against Vince 2 days after The Rock joined the TKO board. So all in all, it was a very turbulent time for Endeavour and WWE. Something that, at the time of scripting this video, still hasn't come to a final resolution. With everything going on, it just wasn't wrestling fans who were laser focused on the news surrounding TKO, but media around the world were paying a lot of attention. The WWE were determined to carry on, basically keep their mouths shut and try to put on the absolute best shows possible, but the sheer chaos going on in the media meant that every little move the WWE or TKO would make would become instant news. The whole company was getting put under a microscope, and rightfully so. Back inside the ring, fans witnessed Cody Rhodes winning the Royal Rumble, last eliminating CM Punk, who just returned to the company late in 2023. Punk had a storyline going on with world champion Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, and it was pretty much a given that Punk was going to get involved with those two men in some way or another at WrestleMania. But who undisputed champion Roman Reigns was going to face was a complete mystery. Cody made it clear that he wanted to face Roman after he won the Royal Rumble, and he also said as much during the post-Royal Rumble press conference. This right here, ladies and gents, is where I think WWE slipped up. If they wanted to present Rock vs Roman, then I have absolutely no idea why they had Cody win the Rumble. Instead, he wanted to face the undisputed champion. It's kinda bizarre when you think about it, and it did cause the famous pivot that happened in a few weeks' time, but the WWE kinda dug their own grave by creating this conflict. Also, at the post-Royal Rumble press conference, Triple H avoided answering questions as it pertained to the Grant vs McMahon court filing, showing everyone that WWE didn't want to publicly speak about the matter, and Triple H was only focused on his creative role in the company. This received a lot of criticism, and it was something that got reported in multiple media outlets who never covered wrestling before. So, as it currently stands, Cody won the Rumble. He said immediately afterwards he wanted to face Roman Reigns. CM Punk's injured, so Seth Rollins doesn't have an opponent for WrestleMania. The Rock strongly teased that he wants to face his cousin Roman Reigns at the biggest show of the year, so things are a bit chaotic and WWE needs to figure a way out of this mess while also dealing with serious allegations that have shook the company to its very core. Their answer to all of this was admittedly very weak. Don't get me wrong, I love how things turned out from a storyline and character perspective, and if this initial weak answer didn't happen, then things could have turned out a lot differently. But basically, Cody gave up his opportunity to face Roman and he handed that opportunity to The Rock. I don't care what anyone says, this was so short-sighted and I think it damaged both Rock and Cody Rhodes. But I also knew from the immediate fan backlash that things were going to change. There's no way Dwayne Johnson would put himself in a position where he wanted fans to cheer for him while knowing the exact opposite was going to happen. It was never going to turn out that way, and I was legitimately shocked at how some people initially reacted to the announcement. Folks who really should have known better almost began a smear campaign against The Rock, with some even comparing him to Hulk Hogan. It was so ridiculous. I'd like to think a lot of these folks look back now at how they got on and they feel a little embarrassed, but I wouldn't put money on it either. A great portion of the WWE audience went into meltdown over Cody giving Rock this opportunity, while many other fans had the foresight to know that WWE were going to pivot. With all the negativity going on, with the fan outcry and hashtags and what have you, there was no way The Rock vs Roman Reigns was going to happen now, and while it definitely was the initial plan, The Rock and Triple H were smart enough to change direction. I mean, they had no choice really. The Rock used this to his advantage, calling Cody's fans crybabies on social media. And speaking of social media, it was also disappointing seeing Brian Gewirtz trying his best to put out the fire, so to speak. Brian works for The Rock as a little minion or something these days, but he tweeted out that fans who rallied behind Cody had no idea, when in reality, the fans had a very good idea. The fans were telling WWE that they messed up, and it seemed like Mr. Gewirtz was having a hard time accepting that his boss wasn't getting the love and attention that was initially expected. Anyway, it wasn't only The Rock who used the backlash to his advantage, even if the backlash wasn't initially intended. The WWE would use this outcry to their advantage too. WWE would take this real life situation and turn it into something to draw fans in, and that's where the magic is, folks. Better yet, they went one step further by presenting Rock as a board director, and it all came to a head at the WrestleMania press conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. So Cody has the right to choose who he wants to face, and to capitalize a little further on this storyline progression, the company held a special kickoff press conference in Las Vegas. At this press conference, Cody's going to choose which championship to go after, saying as world champion Seth Rollins had also tried to convince the American Nightmare that the world belt is the workhorse belt, a championship that Cody could be proud to hold. After Roman had got done running down Seth, The Rock appeared and he stood beside his cousin. So it was now pretty clear, The Rock and Roman wanted to face each other and they would work together to try to make their vision of the WrestleMania main event a reality. Rock would present his case as to why WrestleMania 40 should get headlined by himself and Roman by showing the Bloodline family tree. The legacy of the Anoa'i family was made visible for all to see, and with this family tree deeply rooted in pro wrestling history throughout multiple generations, it was obvious, to The Rock anyway, that Roman Reigns vs Rock would be the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time. Besides, Cody already had his opportunity. He faced the Tribal Chief at WrestleMania a year prior and he didn't get the job done. So the way Rock saw it, Cody could have another shot at finishing his story at a later date, but right now at WrestleMania 40, the match everyone wanted to see was Rock versus Roman. Cody comes out, he confirms that he wants to face Roman Reigns and there's nothing The Rock nor Roman can do about it. He also said if Rock and Roman's grandfathers were here, they'd be ashamed of Roman. So Rock smacks Cody in the face and all hell breaks loose. It was absolutely glorious seeing everything break down on stage and fans in the arena went absolutely nuts. A few important things happened immediately after the slap heard around the world. First, Seth Rollins made it clear to everyone that Rock was pushing his weight around because he was a board member. This confirmed that WWE weren't going to shy away from Rock's official role in the company being used in storylines. And secondly, The Rock dismissed WWE's usual PG content by swearing at Triple H before leaving the building. Rock told Triple H to fix this problem while Hunter told Dwayne he was completely out of line, but Rock using cuss words during this press conference got almost as much attention as the slap did earlier on to Cody. Eventually, people started bitching about this too as Rock swore more and more in social media, and hilariously, stories were ran that stated superstars were upset that Rock gets treated one way while everyone else gets treated another, something that The Rock went on record to say was complete horseshit. It feels absolutely ridiculous to point out the obvious here, but one, he is a board member whether you like it or not, and two, it adds a lot to the character. He can do and say things people aren't meant to because he's above everyone. It's the classic heel authority character. It's insane to me that people got up in arms about this. I need to make something clear too before you think I'm a Rock apologist. I couldn't have cared less who main evented Mania 40 because I was just so engrossed in what was happening on TV. As a matter of fact, I was so engrossed that after this very press conference, I made the decision to book flights and head to WrestleMania because I could just sense that this was going to be good. This is what it's all about, selling tickets, creating characters, doing stuff out of the ordinary to hook viewers in, and yeah, they got me hook, line and sinker. No matter what was going to get booked, I saw the Mania 40 main event as a winning situation no matter what happened. Cody, to me, is a fantastic performer who grew up loving the same era of wrestling that I love. You can see that era influenced him and he doesn't shy away from pro wrestling history through his in-ring work and his promos. He's just awesome, but at the same time, like many of you, I grew up during The Rock's entire run, and I watched them captivate audiences week after week with some of the absolute greatest promo work of all time. Roman Reigns is someone I grew to like the moment he turned heel, and I absolutely love it when a badass, unstoppable heel stays on top for an extended period of time. I know I'm in the minority with that particular statement, but seeing Roman Reigns redeem himself as the Tribal Chief was one of WWE's greatest accomplishments during a pretty rough time in the company. And I've said in past videos that Seth Rollins is probably the best all-rounder WWE currently has. The guy has talent to spare, and when it comes to ring work, I think he's one of the best in the world right now. Whatever was going to happen at WrestleMania, I was going to be happy. There was no match booking involving these four and no outcome that would have annoyed me. So I was very, very excited to see what was going to happen. Anyway, I digress quite a lot there. Let's get back on track. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes was now official for WrestleMania. After Rock said some naughty words, he got a ton of attention from pro wrestling fans and he decided to keep saying swear words through his Instagram and Twitter videos. He didn't do it on weekly television, but that's fine. It gave Rock and WWE much more engagement away from Raw and SmackDown, and engagement is such an important part of pro wrestling today. So effective was all this work that the WWE started a string of record sellouts for their TV shows. You couldn't get a ticket for Raw nor SmackDown, which created a great contrast to the hostility going on the internet. The numbers proved that fans were willing to part with their money just to see how this historic build-up was going to unfold, and it highlights how the loudest voices on the internet are just that, loud voices and nothing more. This was money, and the WWE now had to figure out how to make it all come together while keeping fans happy. They had promised The Rock, they had promised Cody getting his title shot, so the story would begin to properly develop immediately following the press conference. On the February 12th episode of Raw, Cody thanked fans for their support in the run-up to WrestleMania while the audience chanted "Rocky sucks." Seth Rollins joined Cody in the ring and he said he understood why Cody chose Roman, but Cody has to win. He has to finish his story, because if Roman keeps the undisputed belt, it becomes harder for everyone else to take power back in WWE. Roman doesn't show up for work, he's now aligned with a board member, so the other side of WrestleMania could look very dark if Cody doesn't win the belt. Rhodes can't do this alone, he needs backup. He got caught out last year by the Bloodline and now The Rock's part of that group. So Seth tells Cody that he'll be his shield at WrestleMania if Cody wants him to be. On the February 16th episode of SmackDown, The Rock made an appearance along with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, and The Rock officially became part of the group. There was no more guessing, there was no more wondering if Rock had turned heel. Rock showed up in one of his classic eye-catching $500 shirts, which adjusted for inflation is probably around $2,000 now. And The Rock went back to his old ways here by throwing in a bit of comedy along with his heel promo. He said this Salt Lake City audience just broke an attendance record, that being the largest gathering of trailer park trash The Rock has ever seen. And he also said the fans had the biggest main event in WrestleMania in their hands and they let it go. The fans want Cody to have another shot at his story, and that in itself is totally illogical because life doesn't work like that. Cody blew his opportunity and the fans turned into crybabies because both they and Cody feel entitled. All this after Seth called Roman and Rock the two most ignorant and entitled men on the face of the planet. Rock promised that Cody was going to leave WrestleMania as the loser, and the promo ended with Rock raising one finger along with his Bloodline teammates. This in itself made people think Rock was going to turn on Roman. People thought Rock was putting up an L, which indicated that Roman and the Bloodline were actually losers. In the end though, Rock wouldn't turn on the Bloodline, but it was always a possibility. The next WWE PLE, I'll never get used to calling them PLEs, but the WWE stopped off in Perth, Australia for their annual Elimination Chamber event, and Cody decided to challenge Rock to a one-on-one match. Anytime, any place, Cody would be willing to face The Rock in the middle of the ring. All Rock had to do was say yes. The bond between Cody and Seth was also much stronger at this point, confirming that Cody was putting a lot of trust into the same guy he feuded with upon returning to WWE. The Rock added a new layer to his character on the March 1st episode of SmackDown. Seeing as he was now on the board of directors and seeing as his legacy in WWE outshines everyone else's on the current roster, The Rock was now known as the final boss. It was on this episode of SmackDown that the whole plan for WrestleMania got laid out. The Rock rejected the one-on-one match with Cody, but he offered an alternative. On WrestleMania Saturday, The Rock and Roman Reigns would team up to face Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. If Rock and Roman could beat their opponents on Saturday night, then the undisputed title match between Cody and Roman on night 2 would become a Bloodline rules match. Basically, anything goes and anyone can interfere. If Seth and Cody defeated Rock and Roman, then the undisputed title match on Sunday night would be totally free from interference. Gonna be honest, I wasn't a big fan of this idea, but it turned out way better than I expected. To squash any rumours that The Rock was going to screw over the Bloodline and to put the focus back on the undisputed champion, Roman Reigns demanded that Rock acknowledge them. This was very interesting, seeing as the WWE were once again playing into the rumour mill and they were once again progressing the story based on what was being spoken about on the internet. The Rock did indeed acknowledge his tribal chief, so there was unity within the Bloodline heading into WrestleMania. All Cody and Seth had to do now was accept the challenge. The following week on SmackDown, the match was accepted by Cody and Seth, but Cody took the time to stir the pot between Roman and Rock. The American Nightmare wondered if Rock should be the one making match stipulations when he had to acknowledge his tribal chief just last week. Rock said he acknowledged Roman because that's what families do, and when Rock started running his mouth, Seth cut him off by calling him Mr. Midlife Crisis. This got a great reaction from the audience. Roman told Cody that this was going to be his last chance at finishing the story. There won't be any more opportunities. And Rock reminded everyone that he's the boss around here while confirming that yes, this is Cody's final chance. If Cody can't win the belt at Mania, then he'll never get another shot at the Undisputed Championship. Rock then got personal. He said Cody was a mistake, seeing as there's 20 years difference between he and his siblings, and SmackDown ended with Cody smacking Rock in the face. The final boss just smiled at Cody, so you knew he was going to get some sort of revenge before WrestleMania. The Rock continued to get personal when he brought Cody's mother, Michelle, into the storyline. While referring to her as Mama Rhodes, Rock made fun of the fact that Cody couldn't hand the Undisputed Championship to his father Dusty, but still Cody wanted to give the belt to his mom. The Rock delivered one of his world-famous rock concerts on the March 15th episode of SmackDown, and after he got done, he said Mama Rhodes would indeed receive a belt, only it was going to be one of The Rock's weight belts covered in her son's blood. Rock also made fun of Cody getting emotional on Raw during a promo, finding the correlation between the Cody crybabies and Cody himself crying in the middle of a wrestling ring. So with each passing week, things were getting more and more personal, and it all centered around family, from the grandfathers of Rock and Roman to Cody's brother, his sister, his dad, and now his mother. On the following episode of Raw, Paul Heyman invited Cody to come to SmackDown to have a one-on-one in-ring meeting with Roman Reigns, something Seth Rollins was a bit dubious of. But Cody showed up and, of course, Roman had planned an ambush that didn't pay off, seeing as Cody brought some backup of his own. During this promo, Cody once again tried to stir the pot between Rock and Roman, but the tribal chief saw right through it. He called Cody out for trying to do this twice while also calling him a politician, and Cody conceded to the fact that the next generation of superstars will want to be just like Roman the same way previous generations aspired to be like Bruno, Flair, Hogan, Rock, Austin and Cena. That's going to be Roman's destiny as a WWE performer when all's said and done, but right now Roman doesn't understand Cody's destiny. Cody's going to be the one who dethrones Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, and after Roman refuses to shake Cody's hand right here, that's when the ambush gets halted, and that's when Seth Rollins and Jey Uso show up to back up the #1 contender. Then, on the March 25th episode of Raw, The Rock finally got revenge for Cody smacking him across the face. This was one of the best nights of the whole build-up in my opinion, where Cody's slim chances of leaving WrestleMania with the undisputed belt were brought to the forefront. On the March 25th episode of Raw, Cody said we're now in that awkward few weeks before WrestleMania where not a lot happens. All the cards are on the table and now everyone just kinda waits to play their hand. After getting the crowd fired up with another passionate promo, Cody gets interrupted by The Rock making a surprise appearance. And this time, The Rock did not grab a microphone, he didn't sing any songs. It actually looked like Rock was coming in peace as he puts his hands behind his back to show he wasn't going to throw any punches or slaps as the case may be. Instead, he whispered something into Cody's ear which confused the commentators and fans in attendance. But those who were paying attention noticed The Rock saying, "Tonight, I'm gonna make you bleed." Rock leaves Cody standing in the ring, and backstage, Jackie Redmond tries to get a word with the People's Champ to find out what he just said to Cody. Rock tells Jackie to go ask Cody, so a little later on, Jackie gets hold of Rhodes, and while Cody said he'd rather not repeat what Rock said, it was a promise that The Rock can keep. Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa then tried to attack Jey Uso during the main event, so Seth and Cody showed up to take out the Bloodline. Seth eventually gets taken out by Drew McIntyre though, meaning Cody was left all alone to fight Jimmy and Solo in the backstage area. The moment The Rock showed up, it was game over. The final boss beat the hell out of Cody in a manner that hadn't been seen on WWE programming in a very long time. The two ended up out in the parking lot where Rock continued his vicious beatdown on the fan favourite, and after making Cody bleed, he smeared his blood all over a brand new Mama Rhodes weight belt while promising to deliver the belt to Cody's mom at WrestleMania. The sheer brutality of the beatdown got a ton of coverage. It was the talk of the wrestling world. And it got even more coverage when Rock released another profanity-filled video that showed what happened when Raw went off the air.
Clear, now you stay down. Fuck that.
Clear, guys.
Fuck that. You shut your mouth. Clear my ass. How did that feel? Did that feel good? What, just because the show's over, that doesn't mean that the shit stops. The Rock doesn't give a fuck. Huh? You should cry. You should cry, boy. Look at that blood. Now, look at this blood.
While I'd say a fair portion of fans expected Cody to win at Mania 40, this beatdown kinda set him right back into the underdog position. Beating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania Sunday was going to be tough, but the challenge that awaited Cody and Seth on WrestleMania Saturday was equally, if not more, difficult for the babyfaces. Fans then began questioning Seth Rollins' loyalty the Raw before WrestleMania. Seth seemed a bit troubled about what happened to Cody, and when he told Kathy Kelly that he always has a plan B, it made fans think Seth was going to go back to his old ways. For those who don't know, or for those who just forgot, Triple H once had a plan B that saw Seth Rollins betray his old teammates in the Shield. So the WWE were throwing a little curveball here right before WrestleMania. With this in mind though, The Rock and Roman Reigns completely destroyed Seth and Cody just before Raw went off the air. Seth faced Solo Sikoa in a one-on-one match, but Rock and Roman came down to give their WrestleMania opponents a beatdown. Both Seth and Cody got whipped with Cody's weight belt, and it got so bad that Michael Cole said he couldn't watch anymore. So this Bloodline team of Rock and Roman looked absolutely unstoppable heading into WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. I'm not going to go over the WrestleMania matches move for move because I'm sure the vast majority of you guys saw what happened. If you didn't see Mania 40, you definitely don't want to experience it through YouTube videos like this. Do yourself a favour and check it out for yourself, although again I'm sure all of you know exactly what happened. Being in the crowd for these shows, you kinda can't really grasp how good matches are because it's a totally different experience, but I can tell you on WrestleMania Saturday, my section definitely turned it up for the main event, even though the weather kinda took people out of the whole Saturday show. The atmosphere was great for the main event, and I was kinda disappointed how the crowd came across on TV, but I think Lincoln Financial Field definitely made up for it on the Sunday night. Seth and Cody could not overcome the Bloodline and the final boss, which meant the World Championship match on Sunday night would now be contested under Bloodline rules. Anything goes, anyone can interfere, it's going to be a free-for-all, and I think many people expected this outcome. The Rock was now holding his very own People's Championship belt, a belt that was given to him by Muhammad Ali's widow at the Hall of Fame. And I recall reading somewhere that this belt was actually going to play into the original proposed match of Rock vs Roman, but don't quote me on that either. So much utter bollocks was reported around the WrestleMania 40 main event that there's simply no point in looking things up. The Rock pinned Cody after delivering the rock bottom and the People's Elbow. There was nothing Mama Rhodes could do but look on. The Bloodline celebrated afterwards, and it looked like Sunday was going to be a cakewalk. But Roman and company quickly found out that Cody had some backup too. Some of this backup was expected, others not so much. The two competitors made their grand entrances on Sunday night, and I absolutely loved Roman's entrance. That was pretty awesome to see live. Fans fully expected a few surprises during the match, and WWE definitely delivered in that department. I've seen some people comment that the interference took away from the match, but I thought it was really fun. It was more of a celebration of what WWE was all about in a way, and it definitely leaned into the more entertainment side of pro wrestling, which I don't mind. To be there in the crowd for it was an experience that I'll never forget. The first person to interfere was Jimmy Uso, but Brother Jay showed up to take him out of the match. Solo Sikoa then appeared, and it took a little time before more backup arrived for Cody, and his name is John Cena. Cena rushed down to the ring as fans went nuts. He delivered an AA to Roman Reigns before putting Solo through a table, and then The Rock walked down the ramp. Rock and Cena have history at WrestleMania, and the crowd hadn't forgotten about that history at all. Cena was no match for Rocky. A rock bottom put John on the mat, and that's when the Shield's music played. Everyone in my section thought Jon Moxley had somehow returned to WWE, and by the time everyone was done looking at the entranceway, Seth Rollins had already taken a bullet for Cody in the ring. Seth Rollins did say he'd be Cody's Shield, and that's exactly what he was right here. He was beaten up pretty badly from the tag team match the night before. He lost the World Championship at the beginning of WrestleMania Sunday, but it turned out he had no intentions of backstabbing Cody at all, and he lived up to his word. It looked like it was now all over. Cody was left all alone with Rock. The lights then went out, the Undertaker's famous gong was heard inside the link, and I'm not joking, the crowd absolutely lost their shit. I wondered if this was going to translate well to TV, and I'm happy to say it did. It really was deafening right here. All I could do was laugh at the insanity of it all. I am going to be a downer here though and say I do wish it was Stone Cold Steve Austin who showed up. Austin was rumoured to be at Mania, and obviously Rock and Stone Cold have way more history than Rock and Undertaker, but still it created a great atmosphere, and it's the loudest I've ever heard a crowd react during a wrestling show. The Rock gets chokeslammed, the final boss is out of the equation, and Roman now has a chance. He can take out Cody and retain his championship, or he can let the past get to him and he can take out Seth Rollins. Seth wearing that Shield gear must have brought back some bad memories. In an almost carbon copy of June 2nd, 2014, only with the roles now reversed, Roman hit Seth with a steel chair, so once again Seth acted as a shield for Cody. He took the hit that allowed Cody to win the championship. Cody's then able to defeat Roman after 3 consecutive crossroads to the champion, and Cody Rhodes finally claims the WWE title. Cody had finished the story, it was time to begin the next chapter of his career. The fans rejoiced inside the stadium and it all played out brilliantly. I only got a short video of this, but Paul Heyman was crying his eyes out when he was walking back up the ramp. I suspect he knew Roman was taking time off, and he was also incredibly happy that Dusty's kid finally claimed the belt. But it's something I remember vividly from Mania, the raw emotion Paul Heyman displayed when walking back up the ramp. Cody delivers a celebratory speech after the bell, his family, friends and colleagues join him, and Cody asks Triple H and Bruce Pritchard to come down and join him in the celebration. It was definitely a great way to end WrestleMania. The next night on Raw, The Rock made it clear that he's gonna return one day and a confrontation with Cody Rhodes could potentially be on the cards. And Rock left Cody while handing him something, while cryptically telling the new champ to never break his heart again. People have speculated that Rock handed back a Rolex that Cody bought for everyone involved in the Saturday Night Tag Team match, but that's yet to be confirmed. And that's the story of the WrestleMania 40 main event. At the time of scripting this video, Cody's still champion and he's fresh off 3 big pay-per-view title defenses, PLE title defenses. The Bloodline's completely broken down and changed, with the Gorillas of Destiny now in the faction along with Jacob Fatu and new leader Solo Sikoa. So I fully expect a Bloodline Civil War storyline to develop as soon as Roman comes back. It's an exciting time to be a WWE fan again. If you haven't watched WWE programming in a while, then I do recommend dipping back in just so you can see the difference in quality from both a production and storyline perspective. As for The Rock, well, all in all, I thought he did the right thing by turning heel in the run-up to Mania 40, even if it's not what was originally planned. The pivot was strong, and he made the build-up to Mania even more exciting and even more newsworthy thanks to his promos and work on social media. I'm a fan of the final boss, and I do look forward to seeing him throwing his weight around more in the future. It's funny how certain drama channels on YouTube use The Rock's comeback as a way to further this narrative about Dwayne being on this catastrophic career downfall. These are people who have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to pro wrestling, and people who can't understand that Rock was playing a villain while adjusting the fan expectations. Case in point, the YouTube video with Cody giving up his spot to The Rock. It got downvoted because it was Cody giving up his title opportunity, not because wrestling fans suddenly hate The Rock and they want him gone for good. Well, yeah, I don't speak for everyone, but you know what I mean. People's love for Cody Rhodes was stronger than their dislike for Dwayne Johnson. It was Cody's time, the people had spoken, and even if Rock and WWE didn't envision the Great One's comeback going the way it did, it still gave us this asshole version of The Rock that I got a real kick out of. Though again, I know I don't speak for everyone. Thanks for watching everyone, I do appreciate it, and please take care.